You know that feeling when you open a powerful design tool like Figma? You stare at that blank canvas and you just feel stuck? You see all these amazing app designs and cool icons and you just think, how on earth do they even make those? Well, today, we're going to pull back that curtain. And we're not going to do it by memorizing a bunch of buttons. We're going to do it by understanding the core idea that turns simple, boring shapes into truly stunning designs.
This right here, this idea is the key to absolutely everything. Asif Shah, the instructor from our source material, really hits the nail on the head. Mastering Figma isn't about knowing the tool inside and out. It's about getting the mindset of a designer. Think about it. The tool is just the instrument, right? Your thought process, that's the music.
And that is the perfect question, because it doesn't begin with all the complex features or those intimidating menus. Nope, it starts with the absolute basics. It starts by building a foundation so solid that the tool just becomes a natural extension of your own creativity.
So our very first step is to get into that designer's mindset. We're not just going to follow a manual here. We're actually learning to see and think in a completely new way. And we're going to use Figma as our guide.
The main goal is to build up muscle memory. It's all about getting so comfortable with the most basic functions that you don't even have to think about them anymore. You know, when creating something becomes second nature, you can finally stop worrying about how to do it, and you can put all your focus on what you want to create.
All right, let's get our hands dirty with the absolute building blocks of literally every single design you will ever make. Yeah, I'm talking about basic shapes. I know it sounds almost too simple, but that's the beauty of it. This is where it all begins.
And look how simple this is. You really only need to focus on 3 things to get going. 1, creating a shape. 2, duplicating it. And 3, measuring the space around it. That is it. This is your starting point, your design training ground.
And to make this whole process way faster, we use shortcuts. So to duplicate something, just hold Alt on Windows or Option if you're on a Mac, and just drag your shape. To measure the distance to something else, just hold that same key and hover your mouse. Getting these down is a total game changer for your workflow.
Okay, so we've got our basic shapes down. Now this is where the real fun starts. We're going to learn how to combine them to create totally new custom forms using something called Boolean operations. This is where you stop being just a builder and you start becoming a sculptor.
Now, don't let the technical name scare you. A Boolean operation is really just a command that tells Figma how to merge or subtract shapes from each other. It's kind of like working with digital clay. You can add pieces together, or you can carve little pieces away.
Let's look at our first one, union. We start with 2 simple circles, and we just overlap them a little bit. See? They're 2 separate objects. But now, watch what happens when we tell Figma to unite them.
And poof, just like that, they become one single unified shape. All those overlapping lines just disappear, and you're left with a brand new form. This is a perfect example of how you can build something complex from the simplest little elements.
Okay, so that was joining things together. Now let's try the opposite. We'll start with the same 2 overlapping circles, but this time, instead of using union, we're going to use the subtract command. Our goal here is to carve something out.
And there you go. The top shape basically acts like a cookie cutter, and it removes a piece from the shape that's underneath it. All of a sudden, you've got a crescent moon, or a custom notch, or maybe the beginning of a cool logo, all from just 2 circles.
So once you've sculpted your custom shapes, the next step is to breathe some life into them. This is where you get to play around with color and gradients and effects to give your designs some real personality and depth. And in Figma, you have a really powerful styling toolkit. You can add a solid fill color using a specific hex code. You can create these beautiful gradients that blend colors together. Or you can even add effects like a background blur to create a sense of depth. Each one of these tools helps you tell your design's story.
All right, let's bring this all home because this is the most important part. We've learned how to create shapes, combine them, and style them. Now we're going to see how these simple skills are actually the key to unlocking everything else.
So here it is, the big secret. Every complex icon, every sleek button, every beautiful interface you've ever looked at is, at its core, just a bunch of simple shapes that have been combined, subtracted, and styled. That's it.
Just take a look at this process right here. We start with a few basic circles. Then we use union to merge them into a new base form. After that, we use subtract to carve out the details. And in just a couple of steps, we've created a totally unique icon from scratch. See? It's not magic, it's just a method.
And this is why it all matters so much.
Once you really truly get how to manipulate shapes, creating real-world UI elements like buttons or drop-downs or nav bars, it all becomes incredibly straightforward. You're not just copying tutorials anymore, you're actually building from the ground up.
You know, as our instructor says, when you master these fundamentals, your whole perspective just changes. Your creative canvas gets way bigger, and you start looking at the world a little differently, seeing the simple geometric shapes that make up all the complex objects around us.
So the foundation is set. The core thought process is now yours. You have the building blocks and you have the tools to combine them into anything you can possibly imagine. So the only question left is, what will you create first?